it's definitely a lot of work right now.
Oh my goodness, it is. But my goal is to get like my mentor, Dr. Tobias, who was the former principal.
Mm-hmm.
She made it look so easy, and she left work one time, and that's my goal. One day.
Yeah, this is year 16 for me as a high school principal, and I will tell you, I leave on time a lot more now than I did in my first probably 5 or 6 years. So
exactly. Hey, Dr. Lamb.
Good afternoon. How's everybody?
Good. You've
Wonderful.
gone full Santa Claus in December, haven't you?
That's exactly right.
Love it.
Exactly right.
I was telling Russell that I'm still driving home, so when I get home and I can set up my Zoom, you will be able to see me.
Okay. Yeah, I've got I've got to work I'm Gardner Webb Santa Claus, so I've got the basketball game, the men's game Friday night, and the women's game Saturday afternoon. We let kids in from the community, and so I've already done my 2 schools, and I've done my event. I did it Friday night. It went really well, and so I've got 2 more. Have seat will travel. So yeah, this becomes a full-time job growing this beard about the middle of August. So. My wife will be glad to see this go. Obviously I'm in my condo, but she makes me stay here most of the time because I shed like a goat. We have dark cherry hardwood floors. I can't blame the dog anymore. The dog got old and died out on me. I was blaming the dog. Always get a white dog. Trick of the trade. That's something. The Santa Claus manual. Get a white dog. And blame the dog. So that's where.
Yeah.
So, we will start. We'll start back on January 12th. That's a Wednesday night. Can y'all both meet 7 o'clock on Wednesday nights? Is that going to be a problem?
That's perfect for me.
All right.
Good for me.
I could use some churching up, but I generally go to church at noon on Wednesdays, so I can miss Wednesday night. We have service at Gardner Webb lunchtime on Wednesday, and that works out real well. And because I join the brand new ones on Tuesday and Thursday nights for the first 4 weeks and work with them doing technology. So the beauty of working with me is, the students are good and they already know the format. They already know the technology. The bad side is you have to work with me. But to that end, I do not have my coaches grade work. The only time that the student will come to you in your shell, you'll have a clinical shell, just like a class shell in Blackboard. And the only time that they'll come to you is if, I can't get it out of them, and I'll have you work with them individually. We don't do the group coach after their first semester. They should be able to get their evidence work in and get it in on time in Blackboard, and they shouldn't require a lot of coaching. And then later on in the semester, when you feel more comfortable, we'll let you work with them in TaskStream on their artifact portfolio of their artifacts that are related to their competencies. That's not where their evidence work goes. We do a separate folio in TaskStream that's for them. Obviously, it satisfies the accreditation as proof of clinical because it's artifacts just like principles. We write evidences, and then they also gather up artifacts and put in that folio. That's not very hard or in depth. They've already got their folio made. I have worked with them to make that in their first semester. It's a really good tool to get jobs when they interview. But we'll do that later on. But what I like for my coaches to do is come online with me every week, and y'all will be the resident experts. And so as I present material, if y'all want to do if y'all want to do mini lessons, just let me know, or I'll assign you a couple after 2 or 3 weeks. But mostly, this is how we do this at our school. Share Google Drives, things like that, documents, safety documents, security, share things that you do at your school. This is an operations class. This is about real life. This is about how you actually run a school. There's nothing theoretical about this. Their first job will be to find their crisis kit, their school crisis kit, and how long did it take you to find it? Did it have everything in it? Were the rosters up to date? Did it have a map of the school? They'll have to do a facilities check. They'll find the budget. They'll find their school improvement. It's coming and going to and fro, and they'll have to interview somebody at HR about hiring and employee assistance. They'll have to watch an IAP meeting. They'll have to interview the intervention team chair. They'll have to watch an AP process discipline. This is about how school really works and how the law and policy affects how it really works. So that's what we'll be doing. And so don't be nervous about, I'll have the lessons there already laid out. They'll have access to them from the week before, but you just are there to say, this is how we do it in real life. And as you're doing that, you're learning the evidences. We'll do 2.5. We'll do the OMA, Organizational Management Analysis. We'll do the SKIP, School Community Improvement Plan, and we'll start the CAP. Now, I'm going to stay on them the whole semester about if you don't get the CAP started before school's out, you won't finish this summer. Remembering that this group is scheduled to finish in the summer, but they have the SOP, which is the last of the 6 evidences, and it's got 6 tasks. They have to do the CAP and the SOP. If they've not knocked out at least 2 of the tasks of the 4 of the CAP, they'll never finish in the summer. They got to be done. Graduating students have to be done 2 weeks before the term. You know that. So it's going to be, if we can get it out of them this spring, and they did really well in the fall, so we should be able. This is an add-on group. They're a little bit smarter. Their pencils are a little bit sharper than the master's group. We can expect much better work and not to have to do a whole lot of direction on them. Now, the way I've got it set up, we'll have 2 groups. They may or may not be collapsed. It won't matter. Anybody to me, they'll just shank me out of $5,000, but that's okay. If they collapse them, y'all will still have your sections. They'll still be separate coaching sections, and they don't pay a lot. They pay $150 a student. So I think one of them has got so I'd say between $1,800 and $2,400 is what you'll get paid for coaching these sections. Now, if you decide you like this and you say, well, if Dale can do it, I can teach, and you move on. Obviously, the courses pay around $5,000, and then the coaching sections, according to the size, between $1,800 and $2,600. Lisa, who coaches with me, she after she worked with me for a couple of semesters, she said, I'd rather just coach. Okay. She coaches 3 sections. She makes more than the people who instruct. She coaches 3 sections though. She finds she likes that better. And I put her with people who don't want to do a whole lot of evidence work as instructors, but now we have to integrate the evidences into the classwork. So we make sure we do that. Now we have all the materials, we have templates, we have examples. Now, as we shift into 603, which is what we're doing this semester, the OMA, we give them just a template that just has the task and the prompts, doesn't have any examples on it or any directions. And then when they get to the SKIP, we don't even give them the template. Now they've come out of a system where they had full templates with notes and the whole deal, but I'll remind them from night 1 that it's what we call gradual release, or intentional abandonment, whatever you want to call it, where we pull back and they have to step forward more and more as leaders. So they don't give you templates as a principal, and so we are weaning them away from that to get them to where they can do the work we need for them to do. And remember, they'll do all their work in Blackboard, their evidence work. And then when it's done, I'll tell them it's ready to go to TaskStream for their state evaluator to evaluate it on the state rubric. We don't wait to the end and submit it to Raleigh and hope that it passed. We grade it along the way. And if it gets sent back, we'll work with them. You know, if we have one that gets something sent back, then obviously the coach will get involved. But generally, I won't let them send it unless it's ready to go to TaskStream. So they will work. I will work back and forth with them in Blackboard. They'll submit it for comments. If it's good, I'll tell them, you know, excellent, move on, you know, continue with peer review. Now, we don't do, but we'll do one peer review of the first 3 tasks of the OMA and the skip. I'm not even sure I'll have them do, we don't do the peer review is more for them to learn the rubrics than anything else. I'm not sure they get a lot of good feedback, but I'll take care of all of that. So let me share my screen. And so when you go into Web Connect, when you sign into your Gardner Web account, you click on Web Connect and it takes you to the home page here. When you click on Blackboard, that's what the students use. And you'll have your own Blackboard page. I see somebody's been copying work today. And over here under my courses now, you won't have, but you'll have one that says Mel's 698. Let's see where it is here. Doesn't have your name on it yet, but it will. Okay. This one's yours, Russell, I believe. 698C4. Now I've already gone in and we'll put your name on it, but I've already gone in and built your coaching shell out. Now, as you can see, it's not near as involved as a class shell, but if I have to send you a student, you've got drop boxes right here for the OMA, skip, cap. You've got all the materials that you need to coach them. And then under discussion board where they put the work in for you to review it. Now they'll only come to y'all if they can't do this in my shell. If they turn something in and it's not, and I've tried a time or two and I can't get any better work out of it, and I know it'll never pass the state grading, I'll send them to you for more detailed work with them for individual one-on-one coaching. But other than that, I scan my own cats and we cover this, and I cover evidences every week in class. We get in and out in an hour, except on case study nights. Case study nights will be a little longer. They generally run 2 hours when they present. They have 4 case studies this semester. They're legal case studies. When they present those, and the first one they'll get completely wrong, and I'll roast them and throw stuff and act a ass. But you know that's all part of the process too. They have to learn that in the law, you know, don't think. Just like my position coach used to tell me all the time, don't think. That's not what we paid you for. We need for you to use your head to put it in the tight end's ribs when he comes across the middle. We don't need for you to be thinking. You know, you're hurting the team. And so what will happen is the first case study, they'll think as teachers, number one, and number two, they'll not understand that you have to follow the law. It doesn't matter what makes sense or what you think. And so we'll have 4 of those case studies. They'll present that night. We won't do lessons. They'll just present. They'll present the same study, all 4 of them. You know, all of them present the same study, and you know, which you know is kind of long and boring, but they pick up more from one another's presentation than they'll ever let on. So it generally works out pretty good.
All right. So quick question: are there exemplars that they also have access to?
Absolutely, right here under OMA materials.
Mm-hmm.
You've already got them in your shell.
Got it.
Okay, here's the task and prompt that tells them this is the OMA. This is what you have to do for all 4 tasks. Here's the template that they use. They just type straight onto it. Here's the task 1 example. You know, we're building here. Here's the task 1 example that we'd like them to follow. And here's a North Carolina sample and a South Carolina example. And then here is a PowerPoint that'll help them as well. So they have all these materials, and you have these as well. And also in yours, you have the handbooks that has everything in it, the big scale handbook and the site supervisor and the clinical handbook. And I'll send you these things. Blackboard's going down later tonight. And so when I will get you these things and you can begin to look at them. But again, we're doing the OMA, the skip, and at least half the cap this time. And again, under OMA, I've got all the materials you need and they need. I've got drop boxes in here and so that you can communicate back and forth with them. They upload their work and you can comment. It's on the same thread. And you can see it's already laid out. If they need comments on their task 1 for your review, I've got them all the way through. They just click on the box and upload it and create form, attach it to the thread, and you can communicate back and forth on that same thread. It's a very quick and easy system to communicate back and forth. And they can't say, well, I sent it by email. Well, no, if it's here, it's here. You just attach it to the thread. It's easier than sending an email for them. And we have a record of it. We have your comments, we have the document, all this stuff is archived. We know if they turned it in or they didn't. Now they have the same thing in my shell and we're going to do them in class. And again, they'll only come to you. And so the point of me doing this is while you're learning all the rubrics and learning the individual tasks, I'll be taking care of the grading and the feedback. And I do it every day, morning and night. I grade twice a day and give feedback twice a day. And so every day, nights, weekends, holidays, Saturday, Sunday, does not matter. They get feedback every day. That's the standard that we set. That's why our students are successful. We think we do a good job preparing, but I know that's why they're happy. And so when they get to the skip on later in the semester, as you can see, I've got task and prompts, no template. They got to make their own now. We're making a transition. And then here's a North and South Carolina example, and here's a graphic organizer. This will help them with it. And we'll explain that to them. We're giving them less and less, and then they get to the cap. I've given them a couple of North and South Carolina examples, but again, no template, but there's their task and prompts. And then when they get to the SOP this summer, I will go ahead and introduce that when we have them in the spring. Now, and that one, they have a template again, but it's not really a template. It just tells them where to go and start pulling the work from, because it's like putting a school improvement plan together. So just like in the OMA, we'll go to that one. Here's the first thing I'll cover the first night, task and prompts. If it'll pop up, I'll move that out of the way. There it is. So these are the 6, this is the third of the 6 evidences that go in their state portfolio for licensure. And this is the OMA, organizational management. Here's the student learning outcomes, what they'll learn. Here's an overview of the 4 tasks. And then there's your SLOs tied to them. Contextual analysis. And so here's where, when it gets in this color, the little pea green color or whatever color that's where they have to start work. All right, so under task 1, the prompt is the candidate will research and develop an analysis of school context, internal and external, district, state, and federal. And I'll go through all these and I'll tell them exactly what we're looking for. I'll tell them what materials they need to get. The external context is, average income of your community, average education, the history of the school, that kind of stuff, puts it in context. The internal, they'll need grades, they'll need the school improvement plan, they'll need everything on the state report card, teacher quality, all those kinds of things, a copy of the master schedule, the duty roster, supervision schedule, copy of the budget, all those kinds of things. They're putting their school in context, because what we're going to do is we're going to eventually build either a modified or a edited or a partial. We're going to work on a new master schedule that works on the triangle. The triangle being the school improvement plan at the top has to be supported by both your budget and your master schedule. And that's what we're learning the first half of this class, is that it doesn't do any good to do all this work, come up with school improvement plan, if your budget doesn't support it, or if your master schedule doesn't support it. It doesn't do any well. And so we're teaching them that. Now, all of this, kind of an overview of this, is in this. Let me move this out of the way. Again, We give them enough materials, but we don't want to just tell them everything to do. They've got to do a little, they got to start doing a little digging on. And so master scheduling, this is a PD that I do with different school districts, and it kind of explains what they're going to be doing, putting everything in context. Again, we're hoping that they again, you know, and so the path to school improvement, master schedule budget, they support the school improvement plan, things you'll need. This is what they'll need to do their context, you know, for master scheduling. The rationale, federal law comes first. And so you got to do an audit of your federal programs, state law, then local board policy, best practice, performance data, and teacher input. That's the rationale. It always goes that way, never any other way. Can't put teacher input first and get yourself fired, lose your house. And here are the programs that you got to go. You got to start with when you're master scheduling the school. They got to come first, and then all the other things that we have. And so it's pretty simple. We're getting them to understand how you go about developing a master schedule that works for your school. You know, the first thing I'm going to tell them is you have a bad master schedule because you had a bad process. Somewhere in the school, there's a gridded off whiteboard with stickies on it. Whether your principal will admit it or not, there is. Now, the question is whose name goes on what sticky and what goes where. There has to be a way that you start this thing. Well, you start with your federal programs. Because federal law is the most restrictive. You start with them, then you go to all your state laws, length of class, highly qualified, you know, class size, all those things. Then your board policy. We're going to have 90 minutes of reading each day. Those kinds of things. Then we're going to look at our performance data, who ought to be teaching what. Then we're going to have teacher input, but only then at the end. We're going to teach them this as we work through the OMA. And so it tells them what they'll do in each of these parts. And task 2 is simply a copy and paste from the last evidence that they did last semester. We have them go ahead and do it in this format, so it can just be a copy and paste for them. Task 1 through 3 of the APTEL that they did. If you think ahead, again, they say, well, you know, I've already done this. Well, if you did it the right way as we taught you to, it's just simply a copy and paste. It's real simple. And then they start trying to do develop an analysis of the existing scheduling process. And then they make it, and then impromptu, they make a new schedule or a draft of the current schedule, or sometimes in high school, maybe they'll schedule the CTE department or the fine arts or something like that. And we work with them on that. They can schedule a whole elementary school. And then they'll reflect in their they'll write their competency analysis of 12 of their competencies. And here's the rubric that they're graded on. This is the state grading rubric. Pretty simple. And that's what we'll do. And then we'll do that while we're doing, now we have plenty of content. Besides, we don't just do evidence work. We have plenty of content. So if we go back to, so let's see. I hadn't course copied mine over yet because Blackboard hadn't crashed yet. And it will. As soon as they take it down for 4 days, it'll crash 2 or 3 times. And it scrambles my work. So I just wait. And so this is what my shell will look like. Let me find one from last spring. So it'll look exactly the same. That would be me right there. So this is what my shell, it'll have each one of the 15 Zoom sessions. They click on that and it tells them exactly what we're going to cover that night. First night, we're going to cover just things you just saw, the OMA guide. An example, I've actually got an outline here that I'll use with them too that I don't have in your coaching shell, but I have it in mine. It's kind of an outline for me as I teach it. It has everything that you just saw. We'll do that on the first night. I'll probably introduce a couple of other things I might, but that's what we'll cover the first night. On the second night, we'll start with the general statutes, and then we'll follow up crisis boxes, like I said, and then we'll follow up every week. And we have a weekly schedule, our weekly schedule that tells them everything that they have to do every week. I have it all. It's a one-stop shop. Now, I know that Russell, I can't speak, but now Renita came through, you came through the EDLS program. And so we're much more tightly coupled than that. As you can see, we have it. So every week they know when we're going to meet, what time, what topics we're going to cover, what their resources are, their assignments, and what their evidence work is. And they've got 16 discussion boards. Again, the first one is locate copies of the emergency plan and read the chapter in the school law that goes along with that. Second week, examine the school district field trip policy, reflect on financial liability, observe due process, interview AP or school disciplinarian, examine the school district policy on cyberbullying, attend an IEP meetings, interview your intervention team chair, that's 7B. Interview an administrator in your HR department about how people get hired in your district and what employee assistance you have. Interview an administrator, conduct a facilities walkthrough using a checklist. With the twice a month safety check, teach them how to do that. Interview an administrator about fundraising. A list of 5 most important steps in budgeting. Locate a copy of your school budget. Does it contain all 4 funding sources? Anything missing? Then we have a hypothetical case, respond to a case study, which is about sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, and that's it. So you can see everything is linked together. It's all laid out. You do this week. This is the evidence work that we'll be doing. We pace them. Again, you can see we pace them. I'll move up the timeline a little bit on the skip. I'm going to try to get to the first 2 tasks of the cap out of them as well, so we won't struggle so hard with them this summer. And so I was able to do that last spring, and so I'm going to do that again. But here it is. We take 2 weeks off. We do 1 for spring break and we do 1 for Easter, and that means we don't have class, but they have to continue their evidence work the week that they're off. But that's the way that we do that. They do everything in Blackboard. When we think that their LMA and Skip are ready for evaluation, we have them upload them in TaskStream. I'll monitor that piece and make sure that the state graders get to them within 24 to 36 hours. Our work in our shell, I turn it around twice a day. It should never be in my shell more than 12 hours. That's the key. Do we get a lot out of them? Absolutely. Is it a lot? Yes. Do we just absolutely grind them down to a pulp? Absolutely. But that's good training to be a school administrator. Do we give them too much to do? Absolutely. And we give them more. They need to understand that. As y'all were talking about when we came on, first 5 years you're a principal, you might as well have a cot in the back. But you get older, you get better at it. They've got to understand that that they're not becoming, they're changing careers. They're not becoming a school administrator because they want to work less or they want to decrease their commitment. Dr. Bull sent me a prospective person. He always wants my take on all these people. And I told him, I said, why in the world would I hire somebody to teach principals that after 5 years as a principal said, I want to go back and be a kindergarten teacher again. I want to spend less time. I can't good conscience put that person in front of people and tell them that you're going to have to work night and day, and only hope to get it done. So we put them through a lot, but they're ready when we get done. And we have a good humor about it. But we're very, very planned and prepared. There's nothing that there's no stone unturned in their preparation. We have everything that they need to have. It's not like, oh, we forgot that. If we didn't give it to you, it's because we didn't want you to have it. We are not going to give you complete outlines like we did in 601. You're advanced beyond that. We told you when you started that you'll be lucky. We pull back a little bit more each time and make them step forward. And so they'll be a good group. One of the groups was, they had excellent instruction in 601. None of them are behind. Let me say this before we start. None of them are behind. I do not allow them to go to the next course sequence 6-hour block if they're behind the least little bit. They had to have submitted and passed both of their evidences in 601 for them to be with us. Now remember, this group skipped 602. This is the advanced group. They did their 601 and 602 evidences in 601. They got to skip 602. Now they're in 603. If they do both of them, they get to skip 604 and go straight to 605 and finish this summer. But that's only predicated on you got to do your work. If you don't do your work, you got to go back and you catch that in between class. That's money, time. And if they come to this summer and they don't complete, it's $2,000 for them to continue in 699. $2,000 if they don't finish their portfolio. So trust me, they want to finish their portfolio. They want us to stay on them and get them where they need to be.
Do you find that the majority of them, I mean, this is my first experience with knowing the structure of Gardner-Webb's program. I mean, I've not, taken classes there, done a degree there. Do you find that most of the students, they do progress through and to skip the class, or do they just not put in the time and the effort and are more willing to just take the next class and just kind of spread it out a little more?
No, we won't have any that don't make it. That will be zero. We won't have any. The ones that don't make it, we call them out in the first 4 weeks of the first class. After that, everybody, you either strap it on and make it, or you get your money back and go on, or you get it prorated back. But nobody that gets to hear, ghosts us. If they're ready to go, they're spending an inordinate amount of money. But the whole idea is you can spend an inordinate amount of money and get done in 1 year. Well, actually 11 months. That's the whole deal. If you don't do that, then you're wasting your money. I mean, time is money. And so they're paying us a stupid amount of money to do this. We're charging them about $14,000 to do this year with us. Let me say that again, 14,000. That might be a little bit, let's see. Yeah, I'd say they can do it for 14. Might be 15 this year. But we're charging them $14,000 to do 1 year. And they expect, us to stay after them to do that. No, Russell, we don't have any problem with them doing the work. This is an advanced group. Now, remember, these people already have a master's degree, being in some, somewhat of a leadership role. These are not master's kids that don't know what they want to do yet. These are people who have taught at least 5 years. Many of them are deans or APs or curriculum facilitators. These people want to be professionals. And they're willing to pay the money to get there quickly and be put through a quality preparation program. So no, we won't have any problem with any of these. They won't whine, they won't complain. They'll strap it on and go. Now, that's just the culture here. This is not a public school where you're getting cheap. That you're paying to have all these people work with you. You're paying to have an instructor. You're paying to have a coach. You're paying to have a person that comes to your school if there's an issue with your clinical, and you're paying a state grader to make sure that when it goes to the state, it's already ready. You're paying 4 people to work with you. That's why you're paying $14,000. You're paying all these people. You're paying me to turn that work around in 12 hours. And you're paying me when it ain't good for me to let your blood out. I will roast you if it's not any good. We're not mean or angry or ugly, but this is an accelerated group. These are supposed to be the stars. This is not the booger eaters. These kids got a pencil sharpener on their crayon box. They're good. They are really good. You will be impressed at how smart and how good they are. Now some of them still haven't changed their lens as much as they need to from teacher to administrator yet, to view things a little bit differently. That's what the first case study is for me to roast them a little bit. But then they'll catch on quick. There may be a little wailing and gnashing of teeth, but they'll catch on quickly. They do. They are really good. Now, the only problem that you're going to have is after you have this group in 603, the next time that you have a group in 603, if it's a master's group, you're going to think, I hate you. Why'd you do this to me? Why'd you send me this bunch? There is night and day difference in these two groups. And I do mean night and day. You know, I did this live stream with Sheena and Anna, and then they coached with me again over the summer. And Anna I thought she's a little person. I thought she's gonna come through the screen and strangle one of them. She was mad. Of course, he was just the village idiot. Some village was missing their idiot. And she told me after class, she said, "I'm sorry." She said, "But this," I said, "I told you before we started that it's, you know, it's like going from EC to AG. I mean, it really is. This group that we'll have this time. Now, I don't like, and the reason why I wanted both of you with me this fall is I like to train you with this group because you can see what high expectations we have and how well it goes. I find if I train you with the low group, then, you know, we have too much compassion and we don't push them hard enough if we start with that group. So you'll probably coach or have maybe one of those groups. There's 3 of them. I'll have one of them this summer. They'll drive us crazy. I'll tell you right now, they'll drive us crazy. And then in the fall, when we get a big bunch of these, you know, we'll have a big bunch in the summer. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, this group, they pick it up and run. They work hard. Of course, they'll do, now remembering they're doing their clinical 80 hours while they're doing this at their school, their activities. Now, if there's anything that goes wrong with that, we can talk to them about it. But I have a person on call that'll go to their school and visit with me. I assign those coaches proximity. And so if we've got one in Franklin, then Rod's going to come over from Rocky Mountain, check on if there's a problem with that. So we don't have to do in class. I do, but y'all don't have to worry about whether they're getting their 80 hours or not. I do, but I have a different group that I work with to make sure that they get their 80 hours. And if there's a problem at their school, you know, I have a person that goes and takes care of that. I've got 17 of those people who work all across North and South Carolina. Rachel does from Myrtle Beach to Georgetown, and Sarah does from Wilmington up to Jacksonville, and Rod goes from Rocky Mount to Raleigh to Franklin, out, you know, Moyock, out, you know, out at Elizabeth City. I've got Kathy Revis is up on the mountain. She's up in Buncombe, Henderson, and she can go down the hill, down 25 to Anderson to Greenville. I cover here in Polk and Rutherford, where my condo is here at Lake Lure. I also cover Metrolina. My regular home is in Lake Norman, the northern part of Mecklenburg, halfway between Charlotte and Statesville. So I can cover that corridor. Steve Stone, he gets to Northeast along with Steve Marie. They get Wilkes over to Caldwell, up to Watauga and Ash. Phyllis is in Catawba, and so she covers that area. Marks goes to Columbia and as far down as Augusta, going that way. And so we have a group that will go out and support them. And so, and I said all that to say this: we have to be careful not to get caught up in that drama. You know, our class has to be separate from that. But what students will want to come into class and say, I can't write my evidences because I'm not getting the opportunity to do this, that, or the other in my clinic. That's a separate problem. You can write your evidences without that part. That shouldn't do anything. Now that might preclude you from getting your 80 hours, but it will not stop your evidence work. And so that's not an acceptable excuse for not having you work in on time and pacing yourself correctly. All work's due by 9 o'clock on Sunday night, and I give them till Monday morning. But it better be in. You know, so we'll introduce the work the first Tuesday night, the first Wednesday night. The following Sunday night, the first task will be due by 9 o'clock. They'll put it into my discussion board. I'll say yay or nay. Excellent, you know, continue with peer review and move on. And they know to be peer reviewing on their own as they go, filling out peer review forms, reviewing. You know, their teams are already formed. They know what to do. They'll be with the same team that they were with last semester unless there's a problem. Now, what I have done is the two sections I pulled together. One of them came from the Revis Stedman team, and the other one came from the Crawford Hamilton team. They both had multiple. They both had two sections, and so I pulled one of each of those. That's for me for quality assurance. I want to make sure that I like to see both of those instead of taking both that was with the same instructors last semester. I pull one from each of the teams. Now, y'all understand that y'all are a team now. I hire everybody and work everybody in teams. And eventually, if you're good enough and you like this, you'll get to split a class, and then you'll coach, and you'll get and so you'll make pretty much what you'd make, or you make more than you would for teaching. You'd coach your own students. And then eventually, like Sheena and Anna, they've got a class each, and they get the coaching. So they get paid to coach and do a class. So they make like $8,000 a semester, just teach one class. That's the way we get your pay up. And you don't have to do any more work. So I can't compete with what, $6,000 or $7,000 a course like some places can. We're in the 45 to 5,000. But if you get to coach your same bunch that you're teaching, then the salary is quite good. Now, I know you're not doing this for the money, but it does help. You need to be compensated for your time. So I'm going to send you the male scale handbook. I'm going to send you the clinical handbook and the site supervisor. It's the same handbook that explains the program. You can see the 6 evidences. I'm sure, have both of you seen the inside of TaskStream, the repository for the state portfolio? And I'll cover
submitted
all
my information
Right.
from my program to TaskStream. So yes.
Excellent. So you know how that works. Now, we don't do any comments in TaskStream. Now, they can request comments on their competency folio because it's just artifacts, and it's mostly for them. It's to have a virtual portfolio to show prospective employers. But we don't do comments in the DRF portfolio where they upload their evidence work. No comments there. That's just for straight evaluation. You've got all the comments you needed in Blackboard. Blackboard is our sandbox. It's to get everything ready to go to TaskStream. I do not want stuff sent back for revision out of TaskStream. I don't want that. That's not the place for a back and forth, is in TaskStream. That's what goes to Raleigh to get them their license. They don't need to see, it's kind of like when I eat breakfast. I don't need to know how the sausage is made. I just want to eat. And so they don't need to see how the sausage is made. They don't need to see all the crying and squalling and screaming and all the bad work. That's in Blackboard. They never see that in TaskStream. Never. We don't do that. That was the stupidest thing I ever saw when I inherited this program years ago, is you're letting the state see all of this bad work, what it took to get here. Well, why would you do that? Let's just let them see the best stuff at the end. And so we don't do any comments. We don't do any of that stuff. We have single evaluate, by the way, double blind. We do double blind. The student, the person who grades the work will never teach or come in contact with the student, and that's double blind. They don't know the student doesn't know them. They don't even know what their name is. They do double blind evaluate. What we do double blind. I do 30% for inter-rater reliability. And we never sat around and wait for multiple people to evaluate work that way. We can turn it around quick. If it's in there in the 24th hour, if it's in there, I'm going to grade it. And that means that I'm not going to pay the person who was supposed to grade it. And they trust me, if you do that, they'll get to it quickly. We turn it around. We keep the line moving here. Remembering that this is an 11-month program, that the least little bit of stutter, the least little bit of hiccup, and they're not going to finish on time. And that's a $2,000 decision not to finish on time. That's the cheapest alternative we have, is $2,000. They have to take a 3 credit hour, $6.99 in continuation, and it costs $500 a credit hour plus $107 a credit hour for their portfolio fee plus their technology fee. And that all adds up to within 50 cents of $2,000. And so while they may not like that we step on the gas, they appreciate it financially. But they're good. I'm gonna tell you right now, they're good. Let me share my screen again. You know, we're as humanistic as humanly possible. But let's see. This came in today. Let's see. Lisa had a 396 out of 4. This one wants to see Dr. Barnes teach more. Well, Dr. Barnes is the one that decided to only. Lisa just wants to coach. But you'll see here, really strong and quick giving feedback. So that's what I want to see. I want to see that in every one of these sports students. They need depth. I loved having Dr. Barnes. She's front clear. Lisa, excellent constructive feedback. Not anything she needs to stop doing. She doesn't need to implement anything new. Keep on. I mean, you know, nothing but positive comments. Joey, the same way. Everything good. Always precise, accessible, positive. Turn work around quick. I mean, again, it's all about turning work around quick. And being to the point. Here's Sheena. She trained last spring. She sat the same seat y'all are, her and Anna. Made a 4.0 this semester. Keep doing. She is amazing. Jeff, everything's good with Jeff. Nothing. I was happy with everything. Very pleased. Jamal 4.0. We're going to have one of Jamal's sections. 4.0, 4.0, 4.0. Robin was his partner. We'll have that Jamal and Robin had one of the sections that we'll have again, 4.0. Everything was good. I love the fact course started and introduced ourselves. I can't think of anything. Does an amazing job, turns the work around fast. Love that she exhibits. They just loved her. Keep doing it. Dr. Hamilton is off. Love the timely feedback. This is a group we'll have, being flexible. That's me and Laws. We had a doctoral group. We even got 3955 out of the doctoral group. Boy, that's a tough group. We did an add-on 12-hour block with them, but that went really well. Very nice comments, you know, flexible assignments, turned the work around quickly. Everything was good. Kathy, everything good. 3891, 3995. And so the only time Danny's strong, 3995, same kind of comments, you know, Phyllis. And so there's a reason why, and you just saw it. There's Jackie's. Jackie knocked it out of the park again, 3.7. A lot of good comments on her and Lisa, sharing real life experiencing, teach the content of the class. I've enjoyed having her, have no concerns, sharing real life experiences, tying real life to the material. This is what I'm talking about. That's what you folks are there for. I mean, you know, I'm old as dirt. You do realize that I've been out of the school business for what, 12 years now, 11 or 12 years. I've been working for Gardner Webb. And, you know, I stay current working with these students, but mostly I stay current by working with y'all. I get to cheat. I get to pick who I want. You will be the resident experts. We will live our lives. Them, you know, I will reminisce, but we will live our lives through your experience. That's what makes this great. I can sit and pontificate and do theory from now on. They will get more from you than from me. And that's the way it's supposed to be. I will refer to you each week as our resident principal experts. You are the experts. And that's what makes this program great is we don't rely on you know, people who are theoretical people. This is a clinical program. We're teaching people how to work and be successful in school. We don't do the theoretical or the hypothetical. And we don't talk about, oh, it's bad at my school. No, this is how it's supposed to be. We don't sit and whine and cry. This is how do we fix it if it's not what we want it to be. And so, as you can see, there's a reason why we're the #1 program in the state. There's a reason why we're the largest program at Gardner-Webb. There's a reason why that every semester, the top 15 instructors at Gardner-Webb, at least 7 of them come out of this program every semester. There's a reason why somebody, you know, there's a reason why. It's none of this is accidental. Every bit of it is intentional. Every bit is intentional. There's nothing that we hadn't thought about or that, oh, we should do it. If we don't give it to you, it's because we don't want you to have it. But we have very high expectations for these folks. As we tell them all the time, you're gonna have to pick up your feet and run. Only man who makes a living walking is a mailman. You're gonna have to run because you got to run as a school administrator. We're training you in the same way that you're going to have to operate. If you don't like this, then this is not for you. Get out now. That's just like the very first town hall that I did with them last semester. The night before their classes started, I told them, if you're one of those people that think that test scores don't matter and that's not an accurate reflection of what kids know, I can agree with you, but get out now. Let's get your money back. This is all about performance. School administration is about performance. You know what they do at Jones Sausage, on Jones Sausage Road in Garner? You know what they do? They make sausage. You know what we do in public school? We teach kids. That's our core competence. And if you can't make a good number go up or a bad number go down, you don't need to be in the business. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're leading people. You don't teach a soul. You'll hear all of these sermons to this bunch, and they've heard it all before. Now, remembering, I coached them on Thursday nights last semester on their technology, on how to use Zoom and Blackboard and YouTube and TaskStream. I already know this bunch. They already know me because I coached them for 4 weeks on Thursday and popped in on their Tuesday night classes regularly. We're very hands-on with them. I'm in somebody's class every night of the week. They know that somebody is watching over them. They appreciate that somebody that they matter, that they're not just they're not just a number, that we know their names and their faces, that we try to make an emotional connection with them. We tell stories, we have laughs. You saw all that positive feedback. I can't make that stuff up. That's the best advertisement that you'll see. But I can also show you our performance data. When our folks get out and get their first job, it's, you know, all 5 of the standards that are the tested areas for education providers. All of our folks are significantly above the state average in all 5 of those on distinguished and accomplished categories. Nobody else is even above in one. We're all 5 on both of those standards, on all 5 of the standards, and there's a reason why. We get great students, #1. Our standards are very high to get into the add-on program. These are folks who have a master's degree that had at least a 3.5, had high test scores. This is the AG group. Now, some of them won't seem that way, but now they can all write and they can follow APA. We don't have to worry about that. They can all do APA 7th edition. They can all write. They're all smart. There's no doubt about that. Many of them have elite private school education. Some of them will be from Ivies. I mean, this will be a smart group, and some of them will be from smaller schools. Doesn't matter. But you won't have to worry about beating them up or whining or whimpering about getting to work. They're paying money, and it's real, and they'll be great. They will be great. I know it's hard to believe if you don't know anything about Gardner-Webb. It's hard to believe that we'd have an elite private school. That you know, I guess it is hard to believe, but the data don't lie. And for whatever reason, they do well when they get a job, and a lot of them get jobs. We have a lot get jobs. I'll work with them about 2/3 of the way through. I'll work with them on interviewing, how to get through interviews, and I'd love for y'all to, to add into that as well. And so I'm going to send you some materials. I'll get the names on your shelves. It'll be a whirlwind. We'll have a lot of laughs though. That'll be a lot of fun. And after the first 2 or 3 weeks, if you have something you look and you say, I'd like to do a little mini lesson on that, 10 or 15 minutes, I'd love for you to. And then I'll call on you every week. What do y'all do at your school? How do you do this? How do you do that? How do you monitor do you have to monitor your custodians? When I was in Burke and Rutherford, I had to monitor my own custodians. When I was principal in Charlotte, they were, I didn't even hire them or fire them or even monitor. I have to monitor them because it was all, it was contracted out, and we had a supervisor. I mean, those kinds of things. How do you do this? How do you do that? How does it work? In Charlotte, Mecklenburg, you didn't even have to call references. They just sent you, the person was completely vetted. You just picked who you wanted. I worked in Burke, they didn't do anything. You had to do it all. You had to get their transcripts, call their references, and do everything. Every district is different. And so we'll talk to you about, one of you is in, one's in Durham and one's in Franklin. I mean, how's it done different? That's one of the things that they have to learn, that everything's not done the same everywhere. The hiring process is completely different according to what district you're in, how you do your budget, how you do your school improvement plan. Charlotte Mecklenburg, we used a template. Other districts don't. I mean, so these are the kinds of things, and we'll have them go out and find these things out about their district. But we tell them we're training you to work anywhere. You can't just depend on being the village idiot and making bad decisions, but your brother-in-law is on the school board so you don't get fired. We're training you to work in Charlotte or Raleigh, where if you make a mistake, you lose your house. And I'll tell them the first night, I can't keep you from getting sued. My job is to make sure you don't lose, that you win. That's it's just win, baby. It's just like Al Davis, just win. And so that's what we do. That's what this course is about. We'll have, I swear to you, I know it sounds like, oh, this will be awful. We'll have a great time. Nothing else. We'll have a lot of fun, but you'll love the kids. I call them kids. You'll love these people. Now, these are not kids. They're not young. They're not, some of them are a little bit long in the tooth even, but you're not going to have a bunch of green as grass kids in this bunch, and they're all going to be smart and capable. And I don't anticipate, I haven't, Lord, I don't know, knock wood. I haven't had a student in one of these sections, and I can't remember when, that didn't make an A. I just don't remember when. I can show you my grades from this time. That's just not acceptable. Please understand that I will do private critical conversations with some of these, what we used to call come to Jesus meetings. If they're late or their work's not up to what I know that they can do, trust me, I will have critical conversations with them. But usually it's more of a positive and reward and supporting kind of thing. But now if we have some that are a little bit shifty, I'll be on them. But I don't anticipate that, because these were good groups last semester, really good, and you'll enjoy them. All right, that's about all the breath I got for the night. All right, questions?
Dr. Lamb, I was looking at the spreadsheet you sent us regarding the course. It says number of students 20. Are there 20?
That's just the max. When they load these in Banner, they have to have the max. That doesn't mean we'll have 20. I think one of them's got 16 and the other one's probably got 14.
The one I had was like 12.
12, yeah, okay,
so.
you got 12,
Mhm.
okay. If you got
So now
12.
for the course, will the 16 and the 12, like 30, be in the one class together?
Be,
and I would have
16 and 12 be 28.
20, yeah,
We'll do
28.
them all at one time.
Okay.
We'll do them all at one time, one class this way. And then we can break out. We can work with them individually.
Mhm.
I like working in teams. It really doesn't matter how many's in there except on case study 9. But I like for two groups that work together, and I like for those groups to change, so they can can get different perspectives. One of the things the students tell us is that their interaction and relationship with their team and with people, with others, that they really value that. They really learn a lot from that. And they get different perspectives. Now, one of the things they like to do is get the same coach and the same group and keep them all the way through. That's a comfort zone for them. But I don't like that. I don't want them to be comfortable in that. They have to learn how to adapt. You know, my wife asked me one time, said, you're so involved in these places where you work. Then all of a sudden you go to another place and I said, honey, I just flipped the rearview mirror down. I have to be able to separate. And that's part of what they've got to learn to do is business is business. Yes, it's a people business, and we want you, I guess it goes back to T.D. Jake's sermon on the difference between confidants, colleagues, and comrades. Everybody's not going to be your confidant. They're just all going to be your colleagues, and you have to understand you're going to get a new set of colleagues when you go to a new place. And one of the things that we have to get them to understand is yes, you can have wonderful relationships with these people, but it's just business. You've got to understand that. So it really helps, I think. Now they all want to stay. I love this person. Can I stay with them? Well, no. Got to move you on. Got to get a different perspective. Everybody can't just look like you. And that's part of it too. We want them to be with different personality types. We want them to be with different kinds of, to get a broader perspective and a broader view of the business. And, it's, I could talk about that for another hour, but because I'm a little disappointed in our society right now that everybody's gotten into tribes. It's become a echo chamber, confirmation bias, whatever you want to call it. Everybody's only sticking to their own now. And that's one of the things that I'm trying through this program is to get them to understand that you can't just hang out with people that look or sound or have the same, that life's not that way. And so I try to move them through these courses that they get as a diverse experience as they can get, not only with the people who are in their class, but the other class that they're paired with, but the coaches, and they'll have a different coach than they had last time. Now the person that's proximal, their CC1 that comes to their building, that person stays the same the whole time because it's proximity, and they rarely have to go out to the building just one time a semester generally. But they had coaches that look different than you folks last semester, and then they'll have different than you next semester. And by the end, I want to have hit everything so that they don't just think that they can work with people who look like them or who share the same interests. I want a diverse experience for them. I think that helps set you up for success in the business. Of course, I could be wrong, but that's what we believe. What's next?
For me, access to everything you just showed me. And
yeah, I'm going to send you all the materials, so you won't need to get into Blackboard. Have either one of you had Blackboard training yet?
Well, not from the instructor side, but
right.
I went through my whole program.
So at some point, you should be getting something from Emily DeFreitas. That's the old Emily Robertson you'll have to do Blackboard training you have to be trained through 9.1. Now you'll do a lot of stuff that is immaterial, like changing font size and colors and stuff like that. I'll teach you the real stuff when you get done, how to link discussion board to grade center so it automatically pops up in your need grading, I'll teach you how to do, we don't do tests. Obviously we're a writing intensive program, but I can teach you how to do respondents where you can do multiple choice tests that grade themselves in Blackboard, all the stuff that really matters, how to build shells, how to do them by QM quality matter standards so that they're really easy and user-friendly for students and all those kinds of things, how to do assignments, how to do, drop boxes, all that kind of stuff. I'll train you how to do that. And that's another reason why, we'll have you coaching in your shell later in the semester, maybe, but definitely not at the beginning until you pass your Blackboard test. She'll make you pass it. So when you get it, get through it as fast as you can, and I can get you to your shell. But in the meantime, and once you pass, they'll let you, I'll put you in a 0% instructor in my course so you can see my shell too. And you can see how all this stuff works. And you can get to your shell that way. But I will send you all these materials that you will need. Now, I have not done the weekly schedule for the spring yet because I wanted to talk with y'all first to make sure y'all were good with Wednesdays. And the second part is, it never works out this way, but if you will send me what your spring break weeks are and your Easter break, anytime that your school's on break and you're going to be going with your family or doing something, if you will send me those, and I will adjudicate that with the Gardner Webb schedule, and I will do our spring schedule. So Wednesday night at 7 is okay. We're only going to meet one time a week at 7 o'clock. And we'll take a spring break and we'll take an Easter break. So if you'll tell me what your school calendar schedule is, times that you would like to maybe be off if at all possible, not have class that week, not to be responsible to show up for that. If you'll send me that, I'll get the weekly schedule knocked out and have that posted. And I can send you that as soon as y'all get me those dates. Okay. And I will send you the Mel's handbook, the clinical, and all the materials I'll send you all this stuff in a package so that you can be learning these things. It's a lot, I'll tell you now, but you don't have to learn it the first few minutes. It is a lot, but really the relationships that you build are what with the students are what will make you successful or not. They'll give you a pass, maybe not knowing the content, but they won't give you a pass if you don't care about it.
Well, I can be honest with you, Dr. Lamb. I mean, I know Renita right now, neither one of us are working very hard. This school year has been a breeze compared to last school year. So we need a challenge.
Well,
Exactly.
You signed on for one.
COVID's got nothing on us.
I will tell you something you mentioned just as far as, years and experience. And I guess, Renita coming in this year, as a first year principal, I know I've got more years now that I care to admit. This year has been challenging because all the things that I've always done to be successful, I've had to step back and rethink all of those the last 3 years. And I thought this year we would be getting back to a normal year.
Worse.
Oh, worse than last year. Worse. In so many ways.
Worse.
It's just 18 months of them being homebound, homeschooled, virtual learning, and then trying to reintegrate our students, into a more normal school day has been challenging to say the least. And then teachers also. So there's a little bit of this where I'm actually excited about being able to have some of these interactions with you, with Renita, with some of the students who are there to hear what their schools are doing. I'm excited about, having that time too.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, it's a great time. It's a great time. And again, they just being around you two is just, they will be so excited to be around y'all and to see how you think and what you look like. And see that they're running with the big dogs now. They're around, two principals. And the relationships and the way that you treat them will mean more to them than anything in terms of content that you will ever know. But you're right. It's been tough on them. It's been really hard. They're looking for connections. COVID fatigue is real. I perceive that it's worse on school administrators in terms of the teachers than the kids. That may be inaccurate, but everybody tells me trying to get the teachers back into the swing of things and work them through and all of the bad things that have happened. This has by far been the toughest semester of the COVID 5 semesters or whatever was the one we just got through. Now,
I agree because now, before you were able to shut down, now it's expected that we
You
have the
got to keep
test
on
scores
going.
back up.
Yep.
We have this new SCL that's integrated into the curriculum. So we're adding on more than we had before. And, everybody's doing this for the first time. So whether you're a veteran or a newbie like I am, we're all going through this first year after COVID as new people into the job. Yeah.
And I will tell them, I can't tell them how to administrate a school during COVID because I never did it. Now I can talk to you about what it's like when the first real school shooting occurred at Columbine. I was principal then, and the one in Jonesboro, Arkansas, in a large urban district in a 3,000 student high school. I can tell you what hell that was when bomb threats and shooter threats every day, and that we went through all that stuff for months at a time. I can tell you how to administer during that time, but I don't know the first thing about running the school during COVID. I would think that I would know something, but I don't think so. I'm at least self-aware enough to know that I can't know what I don't know. And so that's where you folks are going to come in, because that's what you do every day. And again, you are the resident experts at that. And that's what we do in this program to try to make our students better and make them prepared and give them the best chance of success. Is we understand that this is not a theoretical business. That nobody needs to know. Nobody needs to know or read my dissertation or what I published or anything. Nobody cares about that stuff. I have people ask me all the time, and we just got through with that EDCI doctoral group me and Laws did, and I said they were like, "Where'd y'all go to school?" Like I think they thought we went to a community college, and I was like, "Why does that matter?" Well, the doctoral students sometimes get carried away, especially EDCI, who are all theoretical. And that's not what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about, here's all these activities you got to go out and do. Now, they were initially reluctant, if you could imagine, but even they came around after a while, and they began to see the value. I got some really wonderful comments from them at the end. It's like Stacy Fuentes said, I'm sure I'll never want to do this, but I really have gained an appreciation for what my principal and administrative team has to go through. I'm beginning to understand more and more, and that's what we're trying to do with this group. With these, there's some theoretical and some academic underpinning, but it's a lot about relationships. What do you do day to day? And that's that relationship building that you will do with these folks, because you will relate to them what you do on a daily basis, and they'll be interested. I'm thinking about loaning y'all out a little bit too. Maybe a time or two, instead of coming to class with me, I'll let you come to class with Sheena and Anna. They're both sitting principals as well. They're teaching their own 2 class. Each got a section this time. They're killing it. They're doing great. Students love them. Sheena is at Aiden Grifton High School in Pitt. And Anna's at Coolwood Middle in Charlotte. And they are a dynamic duo, but the students just absolutely love them. You saw it, 4Os. They love them. Robin Hamilton, she's principal at what was Parsley and now is Masonboro Elementary in New Hanover. And Jamal is principal at Kirkman Park in Guilford in High Point. Again, you saw those 4Os. Why do you think those people got 4Os? They love the resident principals. They love them. Students appreciate y'all so much. They just tolerate us geezers, but they love y'all. They absolutely love y'all because it's that relationship piece that y'all build with them. And so, you know, that's what's important here. And so they will love having you. They will appreciate your expertise. They will appreciate your time. They really will. They'll be a wonderful group. Again, they're very talented. There's no issue with that. You know, all of them are high enough to ride this ride. You know, there's none of them that, you know, that can't do the work. And they've proven that they will do the work. So, but you know, unfortunately, during the COVID era, as we find out, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you know, last September before last, September 20, we're having class, and husband of one of my students dropped dead, had a heart attack during class. But she finished her doctorate. That was her that you saw me hugged up with on Saturday. Kim, she finished on time. So you never know. I mean, when we get them, you know, in a few weeks, hopefully they, you know, nothing bad has happened to them during the holidays. But as we found out during COVID, you just didn't know. One, you know, they were fine last week. This week they're sick. Next week they quit their job. I mean, really. So, but they're fine now. I mean, it's a good bunch now. But we just never, again. But we'll deal with whatever comes up. You know, them getting sick, kids getting sick, parents dying, husband dying. You know, we'll deal with it. But you know, it's up to us. We've got the raw material to work with here. This is not the slow group. I feel very fortunate that the group that we have, they're very capable. It will go well. Oh, I'm already past my time, well past my time with you folks. I appreciate you joining me tonight. I know I didn't do as much content as I should, but I'm trying to set the culture, the tone of what we're trying to do here. Our students are important to us. We value them. We really do. We're pleased that we have them. They are not the enemy. We're glad to, you know, Renita can tell you from Saturday, it's just like a big love fest. I mean, all the hugging and all that business and the heartfelt emotion that we have. That's another beautiful thing about a private school. Christian.
It is real. It is very real. It's a family.
Mm-hmm. It's very real. I mean, you know that there is no there's nothing fake about. Let me go here. Go to my email. That's where I want to go. Let's see. And one of the good things about it, I mean, you can pretty much, I don't mean to be that you can't say ugly things, but you can tell people because we have enough relationships at Gardner Webb, you can tell people things. And so this is two of mine. This is Kim right here, and that's Tawanda right there. And so let's see. This is my little group right here. That's 5 of my doctorals right there. There's Kelsey. She was a double. She was in our program in Mel's in the add-on, and she did her doctorate in CNI. So she represented Mel's and in the photo op. There's me, and now this is Angela. Angela is from Virginia Lina. You know where Virginia Lina is? That's not too far from you, isn't it, Russell? Go
Yeah,
just north of Oxford.
the Norlina area.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
just north of Oxford. You go up, what is that? From Crabtree Valley Mall there out on 70. What is that, 50 or 52? You go north up through Oxford.
Yeah, I think head up on 52, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's where I was going to visit Angela. She was in the add-on program with us, and I was going to visit Angela several years ago. Well, it was during the 2015 presidential election, or it was in 2015. And I was north of Oxford, going up through there, and I thought this house, I thought it was an abandoned junkyard, but people lived there, and they'd taken a piece of 4x8 plywood and cut it in half and had two 4x4 sheets. They got them a can of spray paint. They had two signs propped up out the road, and one of them said goats for sale, and the other one said Trump. Can't make that up. I was going to visit Angela. She's been with me for 10 years now. Through the programs and through the doctoral program. She's been with me for 10 years. She lost her husband along the way. And there's Monica. There's me and Jeff with Monica Gillette. Monica just got a new job. There's Jeff. And there's Kittia. I hired Kittia out of college to teach school 26 years ago in Charlotte. That's correct. 26 years ago, I hired Kittia McCoy to teach school. There she is, getting her doctorate all these years later. Kitty has been with me for the last 8 years. There's Kim. Her husband died during class, finished on time. There's Kelsey again. The stands were full. We then went to Tucker and we did another School of Ed, our College of Ed, where we did a whole nother ceremony so that we could hug all of our students a second time. We did. Where we could see them all. Look at the smiles on these people's faces. This is real. This is not contrived or made up or just, oh, I'm glad I'm done kind of thing. It's truly a celebration. I'm taking that. I took a picture. That's Jeff with my group. These are 5 of mine that finished this time. It's Donald. He worked with us for a year, but well. And then we did the same thing again. There's Laws. Yeah, there's Tawanda. She's one of mine. But a lot of these people have been with us for a long time. Or there's Tom. Talked to Tom today. But everybody knows everybody's name. Everybody knows what program you're in. We work across programs. We feed, one program will feed another. The MELS program feeds both EDCI and EDLS and DEOL. Oh, by the way, that's my weekend gig. I'm the methodologist for the organizational leadership. Don't tell anybody. I do quantitative for them. Well, actually, I do all their methodology. I've started doing quantitative and qualitative for them. That's my Saturday gig. Because I meet with them every other Saturday. We have class every other Saturday for them. But because so many of them are mine, this is like I was talking about, I just pointed out, see, either I hired them, they worked for me, or they were in the program. They expect us to work with them. That's the way it works at Garden. They come for the relationship with the folks who were there. And so I'd rather do something else on Saturday, but I love teaching methodology to them because I think that's okay. I like to work, but they come for these relationships. They want, that's what we're building with these people. They don't, I know they come for content and we'll give them content, but they stay for the relationship. And that's the beauty of a private college that you don't get. And now understanding that I'm a product, well, other than my postdoc, I'm a product of public schools all the way through. Except for my postdoc, I all the way through public, but I can tell you it's much different here. And it's very much a people business. And we always have to maintain our focus on that. And we tell them all the time, thank you for choosing us. We appreciate it. We're glad you're here. There's no shame in that. We celebrate our students, and they deserve to be celebrated. It's a hard business, as y'all know. Folks that work in it deserve to be celebrated. And that's what we'll try to do. And we'll have a good time. I'm still a little bit grumbly over getting a 3995 this semester. That's the first time I've got less than a 4 in forever, so I'll have to whip myself. And I know Anna and Sheena will be on me because they've only ever made 4s with me and on separately. And so if they find out about the 3995, they'll be on me about that. But we did the best we could. That was a good group. We enjoyed them, but that's part of it. And so, again, I want the best for you. I want you to enjoy this. If you find out you don't, it won't hurt my feelings. But I want you, we have a way that we do things at Gardner Webb. Now, are we the most efficient organization? Oh no, we're awful. Our organization is terrible. Because it's a patronage organization. It's all about relationships. And so, the back office stuff is awful. I had to, I have to do it all myself. I have to learn TaskStream, Blackboard, all these things, and Banner and Ripplestone and all this stuff. I just do it all myself, so that I can get it done. But I love the people, but it doesn't promote organizational excellence, is my point. We could, but we tend not to. So now, first thing you're going to realize, and you've already realized through the adjunct hiring process, we're not real efficient in our back office, unfortunately. Now, as incompetent as they are, we're that competent and more when it comes to instruction and relationships and doing our professional end. We're really good on that end. But unfortunately, they're not on the organizational end. It's just the truth. It's the way it works. We could have both if we wanted to, but it's not a priority at Gardner Webb, and that's okay. And so rather than beat your head against the wall and just become a crazy man, I just, just read the manual and do it ourselves. So I do Qualtrics. The fellow they hired to do Qualtrics, he's on family leave again. This is his 4th kid. That's what you get for hiring Catholics. So, I just taught myself Qualtrics. And so I just do that with my doctoral students myself. Now, I do all the TaskStream. I trained the TaskStream lady. When the last one left, I just trained her. But I do all my own TaskStream. I set up all the DRF, do everything in TaskStream for us. I'll build your shelves. Whatever you need, I will do. Whatever you need to have fixed, I have that skill set. I'll do whatever it is. And so we don't let our organizational inefficiency get in the way of our students not getting what they need. The point is not how smart or wonderful I am. We'll find a way. We just find a way. I've even taught laws how to do Blackboard now. That's the monkey in a typewriter. If you have enough independent chances, long enough time, you can give a monkey a typewriter and he'll eventually produce War and Peace. Well, I got laws to be able to do Blackboard. It's the exact same function when I teach probability. So anything's possible. If laws can learn Blackboard, anything is possible. So that's the way we look at it. So yes, it's a little bit, I know Russell's sitting there thinking, as incompetent as they are getting me hired, he's telling how great they are. Well, that's two different things now. Just remember that. The instructional side and the back office side is two different things.
Let's just be honest. There is no efficient HR department.
No,
I don't care where you work.
no, I've never seen one. And that's the thing about, I tease Laws all the time. Steve Laws is my counterpart in LS and EDLS. And he and I team teach in the fall. We teach a 12-hour block. And that's where he came from, the HR department. That's what I'm telling you.
Well, it's all because there's a background check or there's something else that they all have to have. And so I think right now I'm just excited because, you talk about the relationship piece. I'm not going to speak ill of any other university, but where I was working on my doctorate, had I not been very diligent on my own, there was no relationship building there. If you didn't finish, it didn't bother anybody in the department. If you didn't work on a course or finish a chapter or have anything else, no one reached out to you. In fact, I think I was, of the cohort that began, we had 37 in the cohort between higher ed and K-12. I think graduated on time. I think there may have only been 10 of us out of that 37 initial cohort, and 4 of us were K-12. So it was, and again, we chose our own dissertation chairs. We had to work very hard to get to committee and to work with that. And the fact that I did it and got it done in the time I was supposed to, looking back on it, it wasn't because I had someone who said, hey, we're going to make sure we're there for you. So I actually like hearing about the relationship piece at Gardner-Webb, and the smiling faces and people that are happy because they feel like they've made a connection with the professors, the coaches, the clinicians, whoever it might be.
Well, I'll let Renita speak to her experience herself. Now, understanding the lady that Jackie, that was principal, that Renita succeeded there. Jackie went through this with me, 2 years ago? We've had Jackie now.
Yeah, she started as a coach as well.
Yep. Started with the coach as me, and then she's branched out and does a great job teaching for us. But, again, got her because she come through the program. And Steve said, she's really good, just like I said with Renita, really good. And so what I keep one eye on is I try to bring in people who are not Gardner-Webb people, my point to your point, who have had those bad experiences, who want to have a better experience, and who know this is not right. There's got to be something better. And so, Russell, quite honestly, that's why you're here. I hired Sheena because she went to East Carolina, and Sheena knew that it's got to be better than this. That's why I hired her. But I temper that with our Gardner-Webb folks who know this is how it ought to be. But I'm so pleased that you recognize right away it shouldn't be that way. I did mine at Chapel Hill 31 years ago, and they didn't care if you. Excuse me, I'm wrong. 1987, 34 years ago. That's trouble when you get old. They didn't care if you lived or died. They wouldn't have given you air if you'd have been a jug. They would have peed on you if you was on fire. Did not care. Did not care anything about you. Nothing. This didn't matter. I did my principal's license in between undergraduate, state, master's. In between, I did my principal's license at Appalachia. Supposed to be the best program in the state back in the 80s. I did my principal's license there. They gave me the wrong final exam, but even on the courses that I took it anyway. Made high pass on all of them, went on. If you could write, it was so ridiculous. But they didn't even know. I've been with them for 2 years, and they didn't even know to give me the right test. That's how impersonal it was.
I can concur with you, Dr. Lamb. I had a master's in counseling. So I went back and I did my add-on at App State.
Yep.
Nothing like Gardner-Webb, very impersonal. I wanted to get my doctorate. So I was talking to Dr. Tobias about going back to App because I didn't know anywhere else. And at least, the one you're with.
You know the
She said,
the lay of the land at least.
exactly. And she was like, just look into Gardner Webb, just kind of look into it and just tell me what you think, because it's a very good program. And just by looking, at all the information, it was a quick sale for me, even though it cost more. It was
Oh,
it was
yeah.
a quick
Not
sale.
cheap.
And as you're talking about the things that we're going to discuss in this add-on program, I got hardly any of that. Just listening to you say everything that we're going to be talking each. I wish I would have gotten half of that. I'm excited. I'm excited for these upcoming administrators, because they're going to get a treat. They're going to be so prepared.
That is correct. And now I'm going to give you both permission right now. You are to interrupt me and say, this is how we do this, or this is how this has to be done. I want this has got to be real. That's the notion here. We want them to have a realistic experience and be prepared and it's much more important to be able to do the job than get the job. I mean, we're not just handing out certificates and license here. I want them to be successful when they're there. I tell them all the time, there's enough average administrators. We want you to be great. We want you to be great at what you do. We want you to be great at building relationships within your school and community. And that starts with building relationship during this program. We do servant leadership, do as we do. And we model those behaviors. Renita, I'll just tell you, I did my principal licensure, and I went ahead and just did the 6-year program. Back in the old days, the PhD program at Chapel Hill was a 3-year cycle. You applied, and then it was 2 more years before you got in. It took a whole year to go through the process, interviews, and all that. Then it was 2 years, and then you got in. So I just went ahead and knocked my principal's license out in between. And so I went here and there and had classes on campus, met with cohorts. I went all over, and the thing that I would say, and I love Ken Jenkins and Doris. I knew them, but here's the thing that I would say about it is it was a discount program. It was based on price. It was, you need this license, before you finish, it's going to take 6 years to get your doctorate at Chapel Hill, and you can't start for 2 more years. I got accepted in 85, went in 87, and knew it was a 6-year program. Not going to be able to get your license until you finish. And so I said, well, I'll knock this out right quick. And so I liked Ken and Doris, but it was, what do you expect for what you're paying? Do you actually expect us to spend any time with you or care about you or monitor you or encourage you? That's not what you're paying for here.
You get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for. I mean, they did literally the least that they could do. And then when I went to Chapel Hill, it was even less than that. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. Now, I will say this. What made me think that maybe private school would be different is when I did my postdoc in a private school. And it was completely different. It was completely different. All of a sudden, they knew my name and they cared whether I lived or died. And, it was like, oh my. It didn't have to always be this way. See, the thing about this is if that's all you've ever known, I went through NC State back before grading revision when it was ABC, no credit, and only 30% passed any classes. Everything was curved. That's back when they didn't care if they had women or minorities. It was just a bunch of, hard-headed, math majors is all that was there at NC State. Everybody's either going to be an engineer or something in ag and life sciences, a veterinarian or whatever. That's all that was there during my time. They didn't care. That's what I thought. That's what I thought school was. I thought it was just like Lord of the Flies, survival of the fittest, Darwinism. And then, if you paid less, you were supposed to get less. And then when I did my postdoc, and all of a sudden it was like, great day. These people actually know your name and interested in you and build relationships. And these are real deal people. I don't know. I went to a little private school in the Northeast. You might have heard of it, Harvard. There in Cambridge. That's where I did my postdoc. And don't you tell anybody I told you that.
My daughter's right beside you at MIT now. She's a
Yep.
freshman.
So I did my postdoc at Harvard, and you'd think that they'd be snooty, but they were personable and kind. But it's the private school ethos. Everybody's not trying to impress you without how smart they are, or it was a very eye-opening experience for me. Country come to town, to be there in Cambridge, fly into Logan and the Big Dig and all that was going on back in those years. Get on the Mass Turnpike or run down to Providence and eat on the water or eat there on the Boston Harbor and all those kinds of things.
But you have like-minded people. It's
Yes.
different. You have everybody has a focus.
Yep.
That you're with,
And so when people ask me, besides price, what's the difference in private and public education, and I tell them all the time, it's relationships. It's just that simple. From my experience, it's relationships. It's not about how snooty, or it doesn't have to be that it costs, but now on the other hand, relationships cost money when you have 4 people working with an individual student. I mean, Russ, I don't know if you knew or not, Gardner-Webb, we give you a coach when you walk in the door in the doctoral program that stays with you until you decide to either use them as your chair or they hand you off to your chair. And they work with you every semester to make sure that you stay on pace for your dissertation every semester. They're with you.
No, I didn't. I didn't have that.
It's blissful. It's really wonderful.
I will say, I mean, and I will say this. My chair was wonderful. I had known him through my MSA. The experience as far as my learning from what I did was strong. But I, it was scraping and clawing along the way to pull pieces together. And a lot of it was, finding other people outside of my program who had been successful years before,
right,
and picking their brains for, any nuggets I could find on, how to pull my chapter 4 together. I mean, there was a lot of those moments of, okay, I'm not sure how this is even supposed to frame out, and building out on some of that. Having coaches and having one-on-ones and having time and having, connections, that also connects with you beyond the program. It's in the workplace when you are talking about colleagues and people you can call on for those moments.
Yeah. Well, Renita was just
blissful
talking.
Was never the word I used.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Renita was talking about her daughter being at MIT, and what a blessing that is. Wonderful. And congratulations for that. But now people don't understand that she'll get much of that there. I don't know why it's become this way. But it's almost like state colleges are like, it's supposed to be a death march. That's never, it's not just supposed to be about survival of the fittest.
Exactly.
But that's not, I don't think that's the right way to do this. And so until they get somebody else, we're not going to run things that way. Do we expect them to be good? Absolutely. Are we demanding? Do we expect quality work? But we also expect that we build relationships. We take their calls. We take their emails. We communicate with them. We turn their work over fast. We give them specific feedback, all the things. That's the Gardner-Webb way. Now, again, I'm not telling you that we're a real efficient organization behind the scenes, but the instructional division is really good. And you saw the joy on those people. Of course, you always see happy people at graduation, but you would have seen 1,000 hugs if you'd have come and seen the pictures from the College of Ed. We ran them back across the stage again. Everybody got to go back, and we got to hug again. And all those things happened again, and we celebrated. We took pictures. I mean, we filled the entire Stucker Center up with just our folks, and families, and we kissed babies and shook hands, and all the families, and we did Old Home Week. Met a group from Henderson County, and we talked about Fruitland, and we do that. That's important to us. That's part of our ethos. That's our culture. That's who we are. Our students come back, they're happy. We do letters of reference for them. So I've got one. This text is from today. Came in a few minutes ago. Second round went well. They asked if I could start in July. They said they'd called me Friday to offer me a contract. That's Molly. Molly Dibble. I mean, I get these every day. Students call. Now, here's the downside. If you don't want to be connected to people, if you don't want people calling you, email, texting you all time of the day or the night, if you don't want to be involved in that, this is not the place for you. If you're interested in content, you need to go to a state college. If you're interested in just having a great time with people, then that's what private school. That's a difference. They do content, we do people. Now, the downside of doing people is you can't just do people every now and then. I mean, people call and email and text every day, and you build this relationship with them, and it's something all the time. Now, if you do that, and we don't do it for this reason, but as Renita will tell you, if you build those relationships, people will stay with you. They'll move from your MSA program to your doctoral program. They'll move from your doctoral programs to your adjunct faculty, and then eventually to your faculty. They'll stay with you. I don't consider it a downside, but some people do. I want to connect. I don't want to have to answer my phone all the time. I don't want to be. Well, then, to get a friend, you got to be a friend. You got to put the time in, and that's what we do. And so that's why I said Sheena and Anna, they're killing it. They just love them. Jackie's killing it. She had Lisa with her this time. There's a reason why. There's a reason why these sitting administrators are killing it, because they have the compassion. They're working with teachers. They know what a tough time. They know how to build relationships. That's why they're killing it. That's why they're pulling the 4.0s in every semester. Now, Russell thinks it's easy to get a 4.0 teaching every semester. Trust me, it's not easy to get a 4.0 every semester with all the dimensions that they measure. I mean, probably the faculty average at Gardner-Webb is probably 2.5. I've been in the top 15 for 34 straight semesters. That tells you that there's not many that do that well. I'm serious. No better than I am. 34 straight semesters, I've been in the top 15 at Gardner-Webb. That's according to the provost. And I'm like, I didn't know I'd worked that long.
That's because they all think you're Santa Claus, though. I mean, they're worried about being on the naughty list.
That's exactly right.
That's a perk.
That's a perk. Whatever you got, you use what you got.
Yeah, I have no preconceived notions about any of this, honestly. I'm walking into a new school, new program, new process. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, from now until January 12th, between the blackboard, the mails, looking at all the the shells that are there, I've got a lot of homework to do just to feel like I know how the structure works to provide them with guidance. Yeah. And granted, I know, it's a little different. I mean, I know Renita did through her doctorate, but at least she knows the connections that are there. I'm looking for like a 1.5 this semester. I'll be fine with that.
It's relationships. It's not if you can do the behind the scenes stuff. It's the relationships. So you'll get your 4.
Yeah, that's the part. Again, I do all the behind the scenes stuff in terms of all the back office stuff. I do all that stuff so that y'all don't have to. You won't have to spend time learning. Your shell's already built. My shell is already built. The weekly schedule, all that kind of stuff. Tax string, the DRFs are already built. I've already taught them how to build their own competency folio. They've already got it. We've already done all that stuff. My job is just like when you hire a new teacher, your job is number one job is to make him and her successful. My job is to make you successful. I do all the back office stuff. You just work on the relationship stuff and bringing, the good stuff every week where you can talk to students about what's real, and they'll know right away if you're real. And that's what they'll love about you, is the relationships, and that you're real, and that you talk to them, and that they can talk to a real live principal. That it's not that speaks to them on their level, and that they're on your level, and they'll love that. So start with the clinical handbook. The site supervisor handbook is the exact same thing, just the title. Start with it, and then you can look at the scale handbook. It has each of the 6 evidences in it, but the clinical handbook will kind of explain the entire program and the 6 and what we're going to do. And then look at that, and then I'll send you the weekly schedule, what we're going to do. But again, y'all need to send me your weeks that y'all would like, around Easter and spring break, so that I can look at the Gardner Webb calendar and kind of adjudicate that. I work every week, so it doesn't matter to me. But y'all, a lot of times, if it doesn't work out and you need to take that week, and then that's okay too. But if we can kind of all, come together on that schedule, but I'll work on that as soon as y'all send me those days from your school system calendar. And I'll send you some materials tonight, and I'll send you the OMA. I'm not going to send you the skip right now. I'm just going to send you the OMA. Dig into it. I'll send you those, and so y'all can get started. And again, you may not have access to Blackboard right away when we start, according to when you can get your sandbox done and pass your test. But it won't matter, because you're going to be there and you're going to provide content. If you're one of those super planned and prepared people that has Google Docs folders with all your forms and things that you use at school, and examples of things that you've done in the past, you keep all that kind of stuff. We'd love to have links to that. Students really love that kind of stuff, especially documents that were created during COVID, that if you had to change things up, but they love seeing that kind of stuff. Remember, we for the first time are pulling the curtain back, and they get to see behind the curtain of what school is really like, and they'll be so excited. Last semester they spent working on instruction, forming PLCs, doing action plans, data disaggregation, professional growth plan, things teachers do. They change their lens. They get to see behind. They get to look behind the scenes this semester. The curtain is pulled back, and they will be excited about that, and they will have a good time. All right, folks. I got to send you some stuff, and I got to get in and get some work done in task stream. I got to build a couple new DRF for a couple of my colleagues. So I got to get some work done tonight. All right, I'll talk to you again soon, and I'll send you that material, and we'll, after you look at it, get back to me, and we'll plan another meeting. Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the rest of the week. Hope y'all finish up exams well.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye now.